is that a woman can be 40 years old and she can have a 6-year-old child, she can have no children, wanting children, or she could have a 20-year-old child that has flown the coop a few years ago. So you're in your 50s, say, I mean, you can go 40s, 60s, whatever, but we just had to do something for the thumbnail. And you would like to meet a woman from Eastern Europe. In our case, it would be Ukraine, because we know that very well. But you don't want to have any more kids, right? So this is the topic of the video for today. Now, my name is Stryker.
My name is Luba.
And we own an international matchmaking company which helps men from the West meet women from Eastern Europe. So why are we making this topic? Well, it's actually contrary to our clients, because usually our clients are in their 50s and they want to have kids. But I see a lot of comments underneath our YouTube videos, or even through emails as well, even through questions that are going through to our AI assistant, Chatishka, link in the description below if you want to try that out, saying that they do not want to have kids. All right. So what are the options for the guys that don't want to have kids but do want to meet a woman from Eastern Europe? Luba, I put this one over to you.
So there are basically two options, realistically. First option is that, I mean, you didn't make it, like when we discussed this video, we discussed that the guys in their 50s don't want to have more children and they don't want to have their lady to have a child.
Well, that's one scenario, yes.
It's one scenario. So, for example, what can happen in Ukraine? For example, there is a nice 40 years old woman. She may be having a very young child. She may have no children, or she may have a child who is already 20 years old.
Yeah.
So this is a typical Ukrainian situation. You meeting a 40 years old lady and she can be either of these three scenarios. Little child, grow up child, or no children. So for the guy in his 50s, if he doesn't want to have more children, his option is to date, like the best option would be to date a lady who already have a child, because to tell Ukrainian lady that, oh dear, no, you don't want, like you're not going to have children, it's very, very unlikely. Like this is the cultural thing, and this is, I think, that what Ukrainian ladies are cherished for. You know why the guy is looking for Ukrainian ladies? Because they have family values. They do want to have a child, at least one. So, but if the guy doesn't want to raise another child, if the guy doesn't want to be like a father for a little child, especially, or even a teenager, a lot of ladies in their 40s, they may have a child who is already 17, 18, 19 years old, who are living on their own, who are living their life, and they're not going to be mommy's boy or like, girl, and will not move with her, for example, to the United States. So your option is really like the lady in her 40s, for example. If you want to date a lady earlier than that, for example, if she's 35 and she doesn't have a child, it's very much unlikely, right?
You know, this is really complex. This is actually the second time we've made this video, because the first time when I went to edit it...
That's why I tried to stay so serious and like not...
It was all over the place. And it was because there are so many variables for this, right? So if you're in your 50s and you don't want to have children, or is it that you don't want to have more children? Because they're two very different scenarios. And if you don't want to have more children because you already have a child, obviously, then how old is your child currently? Right? Because if you have a young child, a woman with a young child, I think it can work. And we do have many examples of this actually happening, right?
And they're growing together, they're happy, they're friends, and like it is.
Because because if you have a small child and you date a woman that doesn't have a child, she's going to want a child. So you can't expect her. It's so unreasonable to expect her to go, I don't want to have a child, I'll just raise your child. It's not going to happen. It's not throughout evolution. Like, she needs to have her own child. But then there's always going to be, there could always be this conflict with her and your young child as well, right? There's always going to be dramas with that as well. So it's not going to be this idealistic situation. So it's difficult to pinpoint give us an exact solution unless we know the exact situation. Yeah. So, but if you were in your 50s and you have a child that's already grown up, or you just decided not to have children and you want to meet a woman, say, in her 30s, I mean, that's not unreasonable, right? That's not unreasonable at all. But if
you're 50 and she's 30?
In her 30s, like,
39 years.
Yeah, well, depending on the guy, right? So it can happen. But if you expect her not to have a child, that's so unrealistic, it's ridiculous. Now, if you meet a woman who's, say, 35, 36, 37, who really wants a child, and she sees value in you as a man who is of that age, who can protect and provide for her, and you've got your shit together, she will consider having a child with that age gap. That's where I was going with that.
Okay.
with that age gap, right? But that's the reason that she is with you. Because but she's accepting that large age gap because there's a trade-off with age.
What you're giving
age,
her.
yeah, and the provisions that you can provide for her in her life, right? So you have to accept that, right? So you need to analyze what your situation is, what it is that you want. And because we do, like when we go into the matchmaking part of it, we try and understand this like on a deep level, to try and understand what it is that you're after. We try and do this before the sign-up process to understand if we can help you achieve whatever it is your objective is that you want to achieve. Because quite often, actually, guys will say that they still want to have children who are in their 50s and they need a woman who's in their 20s. And we kind of understand that's, we've been, we're not new to this. We understand that they're saying that because they just want to get a younger lady, right? And actually, Luba was the one that taught me this because I didn't believe it at the start, but it turns out that it is very true. And so they want to have that. So we need to try and identify that and explain to them that that's not going to work. It has never worked. It's never going to work in the future. So you need to forget about that. But if you do want to have children when you're 50 years old, well, then you need to take a different approach, right? And time is passing. You're gonna get older, and that window is going to close. So you need to find a woman who is, not in her 20s, of course, in her possibly late 30s, depending on who you are, going into her early 40s. But then you're pushing the limits of, what is healthy for a woman to have children. And there are so many
different theories and
opinions about this. Like I know women who are in their late 30s I know one that is pregnant now. I know ones that have had children, and the children are healthy, right? So you need to weigh up those options. Because here's the thing. Your situation is your situation, right? And there's no point in making demands that may not be reasonable if you must have that need met, right? You can say, I'm 55 years old and I only want to date women who are 30, so I have the best chance of having a kid. And I will stick to that no matter what. And if I can't have that, then I will accept nothing else. And I will grow old and be single for the rest of my life. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that at all. Nothing wrong with that at all if that's what you want. But if you do really, in your heart of hearts, you do want to have a child before you get too old to take care of this child. And when you attend the child's 21st graduation party or whatever, you want to attend it in good health. We'll say that. They need to make decisions now, right? But many things are possible, right? But you have to be reasonable in what it is that you're looking for, right? Because you're not selecting. It's not a vending machine where you can put what you want and it comes out. There's a level of realism that has to come into this, right? You have to make the decisions that are realistic, not idealistic. Idealistic shit is for women, right? We are men, we take things for what they are, we understand them, we analyze it, and we come up with a solution that is most likely going to work, right? Otherwise, why waste our time and our money and our emotions going into this venture? Right?
That's right. And the best advice in this is to find an pond with a lot of fish. So basically, with our database, I can confidently say that we have ladies all types. So we have ladies in their 40s, who are stunning looking. They don't want to have children. The thing about the children, Ukraine is not child-free country. Ukrainian culture is not like that. And I hope that, it will not be like that for many more generations, even though everything is changing. In Spain, I see a little bit different culture. There's two different groups. One group of people, my neighbors, have 8 children, and the others say that, we are child-free. We will never have a child.
Do you think some of those children belong to the other neighbor?
Boy, I don't know. This is
I mean, if you did a DNA test, do you think the father had something to do with that?
No, I don't know. 8 children. 8. And so, this is the thing. And when you have a lot of options, you can pick and choose exactly what suits you. So,
it's about value. I'll just say here, if you are 65 years old and you are loaded and you own nice boats and houses and cars and all that sort of stuff, you can pick what you want to some degree. But you yourself know that you're picking a 25-year-old who's saying, yes, I'm willing to have a child with you. You have to understand that I think that the man at 65 years old who's a multi-millionaire understands why he's with the 25-year-old. It is not because he is a nice guy.
But with no offense, I don't think that he's watching this YouTube video.
Yeah, exactly.
But anyway, there's an option, and we always happy, as Stryker say, we never take a client unless we have a strategy call with him to understand how can we help, what would be the best strategy, and maybe we are not the best strategy for you, but we're definitely going to advise you on. So book a call with us, and we will help exactly your case.
Yeah, so that's the video today. We're just trying to say that all All situations are different, but that gives you an idea. I think the best thing to take away from this, I just want to just clarify it here, is that a woman can be 40 years old and she can have a 6-year-old child, she can have no children, wanting children, or she could have a 20-year-old child that has flown the coop a few years ago. So, yeah, think about it. Catch you later.
Bye.